Internets. It's Matt here with a very special guest. It's Brian O'Connor, awesome friend of mine from high school days, who also happens to be the biggest Trekkie nerd that I know, and he also happens to be watching Star Trek Discovery, and I thought, what better person to bring on to chat about how he likes Discovery and how it also fits in, compares to the rest of the Star Trek canon. So, Brian, thank you so much, man. It's great to see you again, obviously.
So totally awesome to be here and to reconnect, like we were just saying, through Star Trek Discovery is absolutely insane. Because Matt and I, we've known each other like forever. I mean, we really known each other forever, and then we didn't talk for like 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was that long.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's one of those, like, it wasn't like some grudge. Look.
No.
Look, Connor, you and I.
Right.
No, it was just, whatever. We lost touch, and now Discovery has brought us back together, which is awesome. I actually remember a really funny, I think just to show Brian's level of Trekkiness. Okay, so my mom, not a sci-fi fan. That's not her thing. All right, but
no.
she plays along. She's happy to play along. So it's kind of they knew it wouldn't work, but they're going to try anyway thing. Brian and another good friend of ours, Jason, decided they were going to try to convert my mom into a Trek fan. So they came over to the house. They brought what they thought would be the episode that would turn her around. I believe it was the Next Generation episode, The Inner Light.
Yes, okay. The Inner Light.
It's the Picard playing the flute episode. They made my mom some Earl Grey tea.
And we held her at phaser point.
Phaser point. You also had, I remember this.
We'll watch this.
You gave her trading cards in the wrapper, and I think you actually signed them. So it was like a Deanna Troi card and like whatever.
Mm-hmm. We got them. Awesome. Yeah, we got those cards at the Columbus Book Exchange. I'm sure.
So it was for naught. My mom is still not a Trek fan, but the attempt was admirable, and I still remember that to this day. So there you go. All right. Anyway, some bona fides on our friend Brian's Trekkiness. So
I want to Matt, before you continue, I want to tell you a quick story. And really. I don't know if this is scarred into my memory or not, but I remember Jason, you mentioned him a moment ago, Jason Wood, one of our good friends. His mom made us Star Trek The Next Generation uniforms.
And I remember wearing them. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, and they were made of the spandex. It was just the one piece. It really,
it didn't. Shirt tug when you stand up.
Yeah, it was just, they looked... Yeah, anyway, we all know how they looked. Yeah. But I'm pumping gas on the airport thruway in my Star Trek The Next Generation on my way out to see Jason in this uniform. And I just remember thinking to myself, I don't know if I've hit a new high or a new low here. Like, it was just, I'm sure I looked like a fool at the gas pump.
All right, so here we go. The floor is yours. For just intros here, just describe what you think of Discovery in general, or whatever you feel is worthy of talking about.
I guess, Matt, I'll start with when I first heard about Star Trek Discovery, and I was so excited, and I was, like everybody else, trying to soak in as much, stuff on the internet and pictures and little shots. You really couldn't see anything, but it looked like it could be a command chair. Or something.
The first commercial had them like walking. It was the first shot of the first episode where they're on the desert. They're walking around like, "There's no ship. Where's the ship? Ah!
Is that their ship? Whose ship is that?
What's walking around?" Okay.
It was so much, but everybody, and I was one of us was so excited, and it kind of premiered, and I don't know if it was because the Orville had been going on, and I'd been kind of watching the Orville a little bit, but I was so excited about Star Trek Discovery coming, but I felt like the Orville was trying to like steal some of the spotlight or something,
It came out very, very close to it, yeah.
It was strange. So anyway, so Discovery came on, and it kind of took me an episode or two to really commit, I guess. Like, I mean, I knew I was going to commit, but I was playing hard to get a little bit with Discovery because it just kind of there was a lot going on.
Well,
you know?
To its point, I mean, those first couple episodes were not about the Discovery, and so that in itself kind of put a like, what is this? Should I become attached to this ship? Because it's not the name of the show. I don't. Anyway, so.
People or those the people?
Right. So there was a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you then though turned a corner.
I turned a corner, and I really started to kind of get into the characters because that's what I always have loved about Star Trek. It's always about everybody has their own relationship with all of the characters, and you kind of gravitate towards some, and you kind of don't like some of them, and you kind of like, but anyway, Discovery has so much of that going on because you're introduced to so many people, like all at once. So it's kind of, I got into it pretty quickly, and I kind of, this is going to sound weird to a lot of people, but I think it was kind of Lorca that kind of like when we started getting into being introduced to that character and all these different levels, and is this guy even like Star Trek? I mean, it was just nuts. You'd never seen, Starfleet officers act this way towards each other, or it was just a whole different.
Oh, you got Roku on your face. Oh, there you go.
Hold on. Sorry, our high-tech background. Is that better?
You Sergeant Roku. No.
We're running a little low here.
So Lorca was your way in, and he is a fascinating character. I mean, he is unlike any other captain we've seen for sure.
Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, like Burnham. I mean, Burnham obviously is a very strong character too, and all these different things that these new characters are going through. I feel like we're in like hyperdrive of learning who everybody is, like you're trying to determine would this person do this, and now we're in a mirror universe, so now we're kind of lost as far as that goes. So, I don't know. It's a show that kind of, it's like once you got up to the hill at the top of the first, roller coaster deal and you go down, then it's like they've got you. But on the way up, you're like, I'm not so sure if I really want to be on this or not. And then it's like, there we go. All right.
Yay! Roller coaster. Spore drive. Yay. Obviously this show is taking some liberties with the canon, at least as far as we know. I assume in some ways you're a bit of a purist. I don't know. Is there anything that bothers you about that, or?
Well, there were a lot of things that kind of caught my eye, and it kind of was the rocky road up the roller coaster track for me. It was, all of a sudden we've got saucer sections spinning around. That seems like totally like not of Star Trek at all. Like that was just kind of like all of a sudden, and then the spore drives very quickly becomes a thing, and all of a sudden it's like, it seems like there's a lot of things that we don't know about in 10 years.
Right.
Like,
right.
Just an awful lot of things.
The original series is coming up.
Yeah, I kind of decided to let all that go.
Okay.
And just kind of follow along, and I think it's easier to enjoy the show if you just kind of sometimes say,
Right, yeah. Oh, they've got a holodeck. Sure they do.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think at some point there'll be some method of addressing the lack of a spore drive, for instance, in the original series. I think something horrible, has to happen to this ship at some point. I think that will then wipe it away from the, or time will reverse itself, or Q will show up and snap his fingers.
You got a lot to wipe away, though.
I mean, at this point, they've attacked the Klingons several times in the Prime universe. They've won battles. Now the mirror universe. When they went to the mirror universe, admittedly, I thought, well, maybe this is how they're going to solve the problem, in that they'll never come back. But
that's just where they are. Yeah.
They now said, oh yeah, our mirror versions of us are over there anyway. So there's still this incredibly powerful ship racing around now with people with goatees on it. So that didn't cure that issue. But
another thing to me, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, I'm kind of confused by, I guess what would be the Enterprise in the original series, the Constitution class. Right. So that's like still a great ship. Like, that's a ship.
You're right.
I mean,
like, I can only hope to get on a Constitution class, not on this ship that has far more.
The spinning. I mean, the Discovery's got the spinning saucer section. I mean, that's got to be cool points. Like
they can go literally anywhere in time and
in
space.
An instant.
In an instant. We can go warp zillion. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But you're right. They did throw it out there as like, oh, but the real ship.
Yeah. So I don't know what Discovery. I mean, nobody really knows what Discovery's doing in our universe, in the Prime universe.
Which
I guess.
do want to see that. That's a teaser.
Big deal.
It's just begging to be seen. What the heck has been happening? Because apparently, also time is the same. Like the same amount of time passes in each universe. So it's not like, oh, they've only been there for 2 seconds, even though we've been here for 3 months. Like I think as long as the longer they're there, the longer,
the more stuff's happening.
Yeah,
right. But Lorca doesn't seem to care. He's fine with staying as long as it takes.
He's like, I'll just kick back. I'm in the agonizer.
I'll be in the agonizer.
So
I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I still, like, one of the writers of the show was, I guess, on the After Trek show, is saying, whatever you think is going to happen, that's not even close to what's going to happen.
All right,
so it's like, because we've got Tyler, who's all of a sudden back, and deep breathing from his visit to space.
So what do you think on Tyler? Obviously they took Vok and they morphed him into Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think there is an actual Tyler that has a mirror universe version of himself?
Well, that was kind of my whole question, and I kind of agreed with you. I guess y'all kind of talked about this a little in the recap.
We talked a little bit, but your opinion would be great.
But it just, I don't know. We've got, you've got Tyler in the mirror universe, but he's like, it's not. Was there ever really a Tyler to be like? I don't know, was he a real person?
Because, he has a backstory, and they checked it. Now, obviously, that means the Klingons could have infiltrated the databanks and built a history for Ash Tyler. But, boy, that sounds tricky.
Well, like you said, the whole process that they went about doing this was so absurd. Like, it just doesn't... Like, I couldn't even up until the end when, like, the mask came off, like in the Scooby-Doo episodes, like, oh, we finally find out. I still couldn't even believe that the Klingons would have been that stupid about it. Like, and it would have been awfully a lot of pain. I mean, I guess they do like pain.
Like pain. They're okay with
so
that.
Maybe they're like, we'll take the most painful way. We don't care how hard it is. I don't know.
Or like maybe halfway through, he's like, on second thought. Like, could you put me back? I don't know. Is this too late to try and reverse this? So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was a real Ash Tyler.
So there is one. So you're saying there is one in the Mirror Universe, and you think there is an Ash Tyler?
Unless maybe he died in the Mirror Universe's version of the Battle of Binary Stars. I don't know. If there was... Well... Yeah, I don't know.
I think even the Mirror Universe Ash Tyler would have a tough time getting that news. Like... Hey, what's been going on with you over in the... well, it's been a rough ride, but all of a sudden I look like a human.
We took your corpse and then took your brain out of it, and then we stuck it into a Klingon that then was changed to look like you.
So his body parts... So the Klingon body parts have been smushed into the human body? Is that...
Yes, I think...
Like, so, because they made the skin, and then they just shoved all the,
because they said he's got all this scar tissue all over his internal organs.
I bet he does. I mean... Yeah,
that makes sense. That checks. That checks.
I think we can all verify that there'd be a lot of scar tissue if they slip somebody else's corpse inside your skin. Zip it up! Zip it up! This is going to be convincing. Do it again!
Do it again. He looks nothing like Ash Tyler.
He's not attractive. He's not attractive.
Oh, man.
Boy.
Okay. So, So the jury's out on whether we'll see a Mirror Universe Ash Tyler. What about, we have 4 episodes left this season. Will we see a Mirror Universe Burnham?
Who is she? I thought I thought she was remember explaining it. She was assumed dead. That's right, assumed dead.
Right, which always means no, that they're not dead.
Unless it involves me, and then it means yes all the time. But he's done. He's really
out.
No writing it back in. I don't know.
I think they will. I think we will see a Mirror Universe Burnham, but I don't know how that's going to affect things necessarily.
Did I get really dark? Did I get really dark all of a sudden?
I think you're roughly the same. You've still got a ship behind you, and you've got a blue light on your face. You look like you're on a spaceship right now.
I think my light went out, but you can see me okay?
I can. It's like I'm talking to someone like on the deck of a ship, so it's like you're
it's a little dark in here. By the way, can I bring up one more point about the Discovery?
Please do.
Where, and you guys may have talked about this, I don't know, but I don't see enough people on the Discovery. Like, do they just keep them all locked away in their quarters unless they're summoned? You know, I mean,
they walk through the hallways, and it's like.
I mean, there's more people in, like, the Sears. There's more people in, like, the Sears that I've seen. Are Sears still open? I don't know.
Man, they're bankrupt-ish, but they're still around. Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of activity going on.
I agree that maybe they could have, just for cred, show cred, put in a few more extras, maybe. Kind of pad out the
talking about the doctors, like, you know, like you guys are talking about the doctors and how, you know, all of a sudden the doctor's gone, but then we have emergency doctors that come in that we've, you know, never ever seen before. So I know it sounds like I'm trashing the show. I love the show, but these are just the kind of things that I have to talk about in order to let go.
Exactly. All right, well, cool. What are some other perhaps, you know, out of the way theories you have? By the way, you have Roku on your face again.
Matt's never going to
keeps going into the Mirror Universe. That's the problem.
It just jumped, I guess, one last time. I don't. As far as
I'll start with something here. Just I'll jump us off a little jumping off point. All right.
Okay.
So originally, I thought that the arc of this season was going to be we start with a mutiny and we end with a mutiny. That Burnham mutinies for the wrong reasons, and then by the end she ends up mutinying for the right reasons. But because she's already done it once and it was a horrible idea, that the choice to mutiny against Lorca would be this huge decision, and then she had to make it. And okay.
So are you saying once you've mutinied once, though, it makes the second mutiny like it's a piece of cake? Is that what, you know? Like,
maybe. I was going more on the idea of like she kind of got her hand slapped. Hey, you're going to jail forever. You mutinied, and that was a bad idea. And your captain died, and it was horrible. And so maybe she might be like have second thoughts about mutinying again. But I think she might be pushed to that point. Well, okay. So that's still a possibility, and I still think that's a reasonable possibility. But we now have been introduced to Giorgio. Michelle Yeoh is back as the Emperor. So she's the big head honcho in this world, and she was the former mentor in the Prime universe for Burnham. So
she's a real hands-on Emperor. I mean, she's real hands-on. She's gonna jump in the car and come get you from your friend's house if something's going wrong.
This is okay. This is a incredibly small point, and okay. I totally admit to that going up front, and it really affects my enjoyment of the show not at all. But I noticed this.
But
this is fun to talk about. All right.
Not at all. But okay.
In the last episode, we see a captain of another ship. Hologram in and talk to Burnham aboard the Shinzu. If you remember this moment where he's like, "Oh, the Emperor wants you to blow up the planet," and then she's like, "Oh, okay, thanks, Captain so and so, who we've never met before." Okay, So he's on a hologram. He's on another ship. He's probably captaining another ship somewhere. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
But he walks. His hologram walks and then steps up onto a platform. I'm like, what are you walking on in your unit? Like, does that...
Are you really here? Yeah. Are you really here right now?
You walk on top of the stairs. You're in a hologram. Anyway, so I don't know. It's just weird, but like that dude was like there. He was. He's sitting down on the floor.
He's a step away from sitting down on a chair on the bridge.
Yeah.
And,
like whatever. Somebody walks in front of him. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had to." Hey, he walks around people.
By the way, Matt, I will say that was one of the things that got me to a rocky start with the show, because I didn't think they needed to do the holograms.
Right. Since they are completely not in...
And we've never had holograms. Yeah. So it just seemed like something that didn't really need to be there, but it's not affecting how I...
Right, as you said. Yeah, it was just... It's another little, like, continuity, but yeah. So, okay, so the Emperor... Michelle Yeoh is in this universe. So you could say that maybe Burnham is going to mutiny against Michelle Yeoh again. Like, in other words, she mutinied against Michelle Yeoh before, it resulted in her death. That was horrible. Now, Michelle Yeoh is the leader of the horrible people. Maybe she needs to mutiny again here. So, I don't think she mutinies against everyone.
I think she's gonna blow. I really think that when they have their one-on-one, I think she's gonna blow the cover. I think she puts the blade to her throat that we saw coming next time.
In the trailer.
I think that's about as close as you can get to. It might be time to kind of explain a little of this, and maybe they have that relationship and that kind of bond that maybe you saw with Sarek and Burnham. Maybe they have that same kind of thing that they can kind of...
I just feel like... I mean, you're absolutely right. That could totally happen. I would feel like from Burnham's standpoint, the risk would be so huge that she might just cut your head off in that moment. Like
it could go bad both ways.
I'm the good version from the other side. Okay, and you're dead. I killed you in the other universe. FYI. I mean, she didn't kill her, but I resulted. I beat against you.
If you just think about the grand scheme of things with seeing the Emperor and Ash Tyler and all this, Burnham has had like the worst, maybe 48 hours. She was just in the bed with him, and they were talking about tethering to each other.
He was her anchor, and she was his tether.
They were like, the Titanic moment, with I'll always be with you, I'll never let go. I mean, they were close to that.
They were close to that. I will say this. If you're in a relationship where you're like, you know what? The only thing keeping me from going crazy is you. And then that other person says, yeah, come to think of it, the only thing keeping me from going crazy is you. That's not a good relationship.
Get out!
Get out of that relationship.
Run away!
Problems lie ahead. That doesn't take a counselor to figure that out. Counselor Troy would be like, yeah, maybe you guys ought to split up. Maybe. Anyway, but
Side note: do you think Ash Tyler? Not Ash Tyler. I can't recall his name. The actor. Ansad Latif, something.
Sounds right.
Anyway, do you think he was like? Do you think he got paid double? Do you think he double dipped there? You think since? Do you think he got a little?
Right, I don't know. They tried to keep him a secret for a long time, although they did. Apparently at Comic-Con or something, they blew it. Like, this is before the show started. They were like, "Hey, everybody, we've got a series coming. Here's one of our Klingons." And then it was like, a week later, they're like, "Oh no! I mean, no, he's not a Klingon."
I mean, like you said, I think in the recap, it would have been so much better if we hadn't known.
Right.
Like, it really, and I know it's hard, like, in the world that we live in now.
Yeah.
But it's it would have had that extra,
the pack of what?
What? What? Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of feel like one or maybe two of these three people I'm about to name are going to die before the end of this season. But I don't think all three of them will die. So, with the three people I'm about to name, who do you think is going to die before the end of the season? Okay.
Okay.
The Emperor, a la Michelle Yeoh.
Okay.
Lorca, and Ash Tyler / Vok. Like, I think at least one of them is going to die, and I don't think all three of them are going to die.
Was it just me? Lorca looks like he's almost dead.
He does, doesn't he? The agonizer thing. Like,
I mean, if you're talking, he's got the twitches. He can't, he doesn't really seem like he really is able to think coherently. Like, he's just sort of like, oh, okay.
He even looks a little scared, Like,
yeah, well, you've seen what he's he's been doing that nonstop. Has anybody investigated what the medical situation is with being in an agonizer, all day? Even you're sleeping in there.
Right. And do you go to sleep eventually? You're like, I'm just exhausted. Oh, hell with it.
She did give him a shot, though. She did give him the little.
Oh, okay,
shot.
Good call. Good call.
I don't think I was gonna do a whole lot. Just based on
maybe embrace yourself. Wouldn't holding yourself feel better than this? I don't know what. Why does it make you do this? I don't know what that is. Anyway, that's just a thing.
I will say it when they open that door and you look at all the agony booths and everybody in there. It really looks like looking at something from Halloween Horror Night. It's just. It looked like somewhere you would never want to be.
Want to be.
Ever.
Stay.
And he's jumping in.
Yeah.
He jumped in.
He jumped in. So, all right. So I think the Emperor's going to die.
Okay. I think it's going to be... for some reason, I don't think it's going to be Ash Tyler.
You think Ash Tyler survives?
Okay. I think he's going to make it to the next round.
So you think so what I'm going to suggest to you is that maybe what you're going for the idea that she's going to save him somehow.
Somehow, it's just something doesn't seem finished there.
Maybe they're going to be like, let's re-grind you.
Can we reverse it, Doctor?
Right, exactly.
But it's actually him. So, how do you reverse? Can you make the memories stronger? Can you suck out the Klingon?
It's like, look, we got some good news and some bad news. We can reverse the process. But that's also the bad news.
Right.
Well, I'm fine. I'll be fine the way I am. Thanks.
Like you said, we're not, like you said, I think I understand you correctly. We don't want to see any of the transporter. We're going to zip you through the transporter, and you're going to come out, and we're going to get the Ash Tyler parts from the Mirror Universe Ash Tyler into you, and we're going to take the boat parts out. I think that'd be too...
It would, yeah. Now, maybe they'll do something with this mycelium network. I don't know.
Did you want to say that? Did you just want to say mycelium network?
Mycelium network. the space paramecium or whatever the hell it was.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that is going to have some effect now that we've seen Stamets talking to Mirror Stamets, who doesn't seem like a bad guy. That's interesting, too. There are some non-evil seeming mirrors. Mirror Saru isn't necessarily a jerk, right?
No.
Mirror Sarek isn't really a jerk. I don't know. It's interesting the mirrors are not necessarily just, I'm a fascist and I'm horrible.
Yeah, and if you were to go back, if the mirror guys were to go back to our universe, do you think if we just gave them a strong talking to, we could get them in line? We're only going to give you one warning.
Hey,
if you start killing people.
Captain Tilly, why don't you cut your hair and get a presentable uniform on? Okay, great. Hey, look, just like the other Tilly.
Oh,
anyway. So, all right, well, cool. I'm glad that you are up on the series. Now, how do you rank it? I know that's a weird thing to say. Maybe ranking's a tough word. How does it compare with some of your other. I know you're probably a next gen fan.
I'm going to kind of, if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of twist your question a little bit.
Sure,
I'm going to tell you, let's talk about captains.
Okay. Like
obviously I mentioned to you earlier that I'm a big fan of Lorca. Like he's a character that I find to be fascinating on the show. So I hope he doesn't die. Get him out of the torture booth, please.
I think even if they mutiny against him, I don't think he'll die. I do think he survives. Anyway.
I think, he's into, then this is going to be shocking, and I kind of thought about it, when I was kind of thinking about this. I think he might be approaching, the top 3, and it's weird because he's not even really the main character.
Right, he's not the person we're supposed to be rooting for in general.
Right.
But his position is the Picard, in other words, yeah.
But what do you think about that? Do you agree that he's a strong, or do you are you not as big on?
I like him. I do think he is the Mirror Universe Lorca. So we may find out more about what happened to the Prime Universe Lorca, and we might be like, oh, that guy's a straight up villain now. I don't know. He could be a villain. In which case, he's probably not the best captain of all time.
Do you think the Mirror Universe Lorca has him locked up in his basement?
Well, I think it's possible the Mirror Universe Lorca, that if indeed that's who we're seeing, maybe is responsible for the death of the Prime Universe Lorca.
Oh.
Because remember, there's a whole the Baran, his ship blew up, and he was the only one who survived. I mean, what if Prime Universe Lorca was on that ship and didn't survive? And that's in some ways how Mirror Universe Lorca insinuated himself into this universe. Was like, oh, I need to be here and be Lorca and be a captain, but I can't as long as Lorca's around. I'll blow the ship. Oh, I was the only guy who survived. I know. I'm just saying. I don't think that's the way they're going, but it's possible. And in which case, he would be a horrible, horrible person, and probably not be up on the captain. But yeah, no, I do like, I love the portrayal of him, and the fact that he.
I'm kind of thinking you're kind of convincing me that he might die. You're kind of making me think he might die, because if he's really the Mirror Universe, are we really gonna? Is that really gonna happen? We're just gonna all kind of. Well, we all know, but do you think everybody will know, or we just know?
Yeah, good point. Now, here's another thing: is he might be. Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones here, but he could be like the Sean Bean of this season 1, where it's like, oh, that's that guy I like, and then next to last episode, oh, his head's gone. He is the name actor in a lot of ways. He's the name. It's like Sean Bean was the name actor, and everybody knew him, and he was the kind of moral center of the show. And it was like, oh, that guy, and then he was gone. In this case, this is your name actor, and maybe he signed on for a season, and he's like, hey, I got other stuff to do, but I'll be a season. Just kill me off at the end. Okay, I don't know. I mean, that's possible. But yeah.
So if it is the Mirror Lorca when he came over to our universe, do you think he just thought, well, I'll just trim off the goatee and no one will ever suspect that I'm from the Mirror? There's no test. It seems like there needs to be a test for this. Okay. We need to know who's in. Even if we allow you to stay, we still need to know.
Good point.
Which universe.
They have said that they can tell quantum signatures of the ships.
So it has to be with genetics. You'd think it would be the same with genetics, right?
Yeah, you could go. Oh, you're the mirror guy. All right.
Oh, our tricorders can do this. We just have to adjust the thing, then we can tell. Adjust the thing.
Just the thing.
I heard. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, go for it. Finish it up there, sir.
I don't know. I kind of want to end on more of a positive. I just think this show it's been exciting. It's been a really exciting show to watch.
They do push the action, I think, especially lately. They've been pushing it, and it is sleek. It feels like a well-produced show in a lot of ways. As you say, it's a little light on characters sometimes, or the extras, but it does they put some production value in it, and yeah, it does have some fun characters. I enjoy the the moral grayness of a lot of the stuff that happens, which, exploring the morality of things was always a big part of Star Trek. So I think it fits in that way as well. And yeah, there's a lot of positives to take from this show. And I look forward to seeing how they end it. As I say, you got 4 episodes left, and still, to its credit, a lot of things can happen. It's not like
I think it's almost waiting for anything.
Literally, they could not come back. They could be stuck in the mirror universe forever. I doubt it. I do think by the end of this season they'll come back. Although, again, I feel like they're going to address this. The spore drive maybe goes offline forever, or they decide never to use it again because it's too dangerous.
Does the mirror discovery automatically whoop, 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 like as soon as they go back over? Is that the magic that happens there? Like, is it just they?
So in other words, they would never meet, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because they're not gonna.
But to that point, obviously the mirror universes of the people are meeting, where Saru could theoretically meet Saru, and it's interesting. We'll find that out. I would
that's one of the.
Each other. I mean, that would almost be, too cool.
I gotta point out one other thing. You were talking about Saru, who's kind of like, I wasn't sure what I thought about him in the beginning, but I really like him now.
Doug Jones did a great job with it.
I think he's a fantastic character, and I think there's, he's kind of like, you wonder about him a little bit. Like, he's a cool cat, and I thought it was funny in your recap where you were talking about he seems to be like one of the strongest people on the ship,
right.
And his whole race is slaves.
And they can run incredibly fast. We saw that in another episode where it's like, oh yeah, they have the speed of, 5 times out of a human or something.
I mean, he threw Ash Tyler across the room like he was a rag doll.
Yeah.
I mean,
he crushed
if the day comes,
a metal object at some point.
I'll just say, if the day comes that they do not want to be slaves anymore, I think I'd go with them. Yeah. Like, I think they'll win the rebellion based on just brute strength.
Right. If you were playing like the Mortal Kombat version of this thing, you pick like the Saru's race. Oh, great! Okay,
yes,
now I got
every time going with Saru every time. Pick. Throw. One final question before we go, just for people to ponder. If you met your mirror universe self, and you're the good Matt.
Okay.
If you met your mirror universe,
I'm not the horrible.
What do you think he'd be up to?
Mirror universe me. Oh wow. All right, mirror universe me is it's funny we should talk about it. It's probably Steve Baxter. It's probably. I think Steve Baxter is my mirror universe alter ego. He's like, I'm Steve
all right.
Hi, everybody. I'm controlling the universe through my voice.
I think you got. I think that I'm down. I think that's probably a good assessment. I don't want to know what my mirror universe, because if even my thoughts, like if I even think, like, I mean, I just figure you're never, like you guys said, you're never going to get good news. Like it's not, everything's fine. You're really
just well adjusted.
You don't get in the way.
Life goes on, and you're just a great average middle of the road guy. No problems really in your life.
Yeah, right. Okay. Matt, I really enjoyed it, man. We should do this. Again sometime.
Let's do it again. If not before then, let's do it at the end of the season. We'll come back and we'll get your thoughts, having watched the entire season as a whole.
And my best to Paul as well.
Oh yeah. I will pass that along. And
pass that along. You guys are awesome on the recaps. I love watching the episodes and checking out the recap. So keep up the good work, sir.
I appreciate that.
Very entertaining.
That very much. Please subscribe if you're out there watching. You'll get notifications. We do all different types of nerdly shows, including, obviously, Star Trek Discovery. So without further ado, Brian, it's been a pleasure. And we will see you next time. Live long. Prosper.
Live long. Prosper.
Get that swimsuit.
From the mirror universe. From the mirror universe. Bye.